Hey guys, it's Jesszman here with my Uncharted 3 review. Now before we get to the actual review, I want to go over to my scoring system. My scoring system will be on a letter grade scale, which is A+, A, and then A- being the lowest, and you have your B's, C's, D's, and F's for all of you that don't know your grading scale, or if you guys don't live in the US. But anyway, let's start this out. So first thing we're going to go over is the story. So, Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception puts us back in Drake's shoes as he embarks on another perilous journey to find more treasure that leads him through great turmoil and strife. Marlowe, the main baddie in this adventure, is on the hunt for Sir Francis Drake's ring, and it's up to Drake and Sully to stop her, eventually unearthing an even greater secret along the way. Uncharted 3's story is good. Once again, Amy Hennig delivers an excellent story delivered by an engaging cast that makes you feel as if you're part of the adventure. Each little thing that the cast does, from their change in movement based on the environment, to the little conversations Drake and Sully engage in while proceeding from point A to point B, makes you feel as if you are the people and this isn't just a video game. Along the journey, Drake makes quips that, while can at times be meaningless, they nonetheless further add to the immersion that the actors bring to the gamer. Uncharted 3's narrative transcends gaming and instead delves into the movie world. Amy Hennig manages to make every movement of the game feel like you're playing an interactive action movie. Yet again, she's managed to incorporate everything that people love about movies, from the high-flying, over-the-top action to the more sad moments, and even the most minute details, while giving us a more movie-like experience. Uncharted 3 also incorporated something that sadly sequels more often than not suffer from: sacrifice. This sacrifice comes in the form of not just one life being taken away from us, but multiple lives, because Drake's Deception opts to focus more on the relationship that is formed between protagonist Nathan Drake and his mentor slash father figure Victor Sullivan. Other characters aren't in the game as much as they were in Uncharted 2. While in Uncharted 2, the characters, minus Sully of course, all felt like they were pertinent and each served their own purpose to the storyline. Every hero that isn't Sully or Drake instead gets a more cameo-suited role. Elena is having the shortest screen time in the game. This can be aggravating because once you've reached the end of the game, you can't help but feel like something's missing, as if the game wanted to tell a more lengthy story but got cut off mid-sentence. While Uncharted 3's story lacks mainly in its depiction of its characters from past games, it shines in its focus on new characters. Having said all that, I give Uncharted 3's story an A-. Next up is the gameplay. Uncharted 3 opens with Sully and Drake making an exchange in a London pub. After the exchange goes awry, the game seamlessly throws you from a cutscene right into an anything goes good old-fashioned bar fight. This bar fight not only serves to show off the game in its HD glory, but also to familiarize veterans and newcomers with the brand new melee combat. Taking a cue from the Batman Arkham Asylum and subsequently Arkham City, Naughty Dog has made Uncharted 3's melee system more free. With this introduction, you'll have Drake jumping from enemy to enemy, throwing punches every which way, only to finish off one enemy with a clean crack across the forehead with a beer bottle. Aiming in the direction of the desired attack and pressing the square button makes Drake glide over to the enemy. Using this, you can juggle enemies just like you would in Batman. In addition to juggling enemies, with this new melee system, you can counter enemies' punches with triangle and grapple enemies to allow you to have some more breathing room, or shove them against the table up and set them up for a brutal combo. This being mapped to the circle button. If you're engaged in combat with an enemy that has a weapon whilst you yourself are just armed, your finishing move will change from a Shoryuken style uppercut to a finishing punch that incapacitates the enemy while tossing their weapon into the air for Drake to catch. The final new addition to the way melee is handled in Uncharted 3 comes in the form of aerial takedowns. Initially, these takedowns could be performed when you're above an enemy and you jump onto them whilst pressing square. Instead, in the final build of Uncharted 3, aerial takedowns can only be performed when given a button prompt to press the square button. The handling of this new mechanic makes its use incredibly limited, because there are very few moments throughout the campaign that actually allow you to perform these melee takedowns. Having said that, I often found myself opting to use the new melee rather than engage in gunfights whenever possible. Uncharted 3's linearity can be addressed in two ways: when you're not in combat and when you are in combat. When you're not in combat, you'll navigate Drake as he traverses the environment to get to his destination. Although you do have your branching paths here and there, these paths only serve to provide the player with collectible treasures that serve no purpose in single player if you're not trophy hunting. While in combat, the environment opens up to allow the gamer to flank the enemy, run and gun, or stealthily take out your enemies one by one. Speaking of the combat, the enemy AI has been amped up in Uncharted 3. Because of the open combat environment, you'll continuously get flanked by enemies as they let each other know your location, or even when you're out of ammo. Absent from Uncharted 3 are boss fights. In place of these boss fights, we have what I would consider mini boss fights that serve to pace the action and add flair to the new melee system. These fights normally amount to one-on-one fist fights, never once allowing you to whip out your gun and take them out from a more strategic position. Personally, I didn't mind this though. I love the melee combat in Uncharted 3 so much that I saw nothing wrong with fist fighting your way through these mini bosses. I give Uncharted 3's gameplay an A+. So next up, we're gonna jump over to the graphics. Naughty Dog has added so many little details to Uncharted 3 that sometimes it's just overwhelming. Throughout the game, I found myself just stopping to marvel at the beautiful environments that litter the game. My favorite moments of the game were the escape from the burning chateau and chapters 11 through 15. 11 through 15 are some of the... No. Chapters 11 through 15 are what I would consider the best moments in gaming that I've ever experienced. Those are the best level designs I've ever seen. I'm not going to say anything about chapter 15 because that's a huge spoiler story-wise, so I'm just going to go over to my thoughts about the chateau. One thing that really impressed me was how Naughty Dog handled the burning of the chateau. This place doesn't just flicker with static flames. No, it burns with flames that spread across the ground and building as time passes. Looking at the wall reveals the fire precariously inching up the tearing wall, desperately attempting to escape the flame's grasp. Although the flame may be dynamic, Naughty Dog didn't make it so that the whole building would burn if you don't stay long enough. In addition to this, you also have the more minute details like Drake's hair being more detailed than Sully's hair or any of the other people's hair, or just facial features in general. And you can clearly tell that Naughty Dog themselves took it up to themselves to put more detail in Drake, with him being the main character, than anyone else in the game. And at times this can be a tad bit frustrating, going from Drake's highly detailed features to everyone else whose details aren't so fleshed out in a sense. It's still nice to see that Naughty Dog is still pushing the limits of the PS3, but the jump from Uncharted 2 to Uncharted 3 is most definitely not as big as the jump from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2 itself. So, having said that, it does seem as if that Naughty Dog is reaching the limits of the PlayStation 3 itself, and we're gonna have to be seeing a new PlayStation console with better graphics soon if we want to get even more out of our graphical capabilities of the consoles, because Naughty Dog has pretty much maxed out the PlayStation 3. When they said it this time, they're pretty much not fabricating anything. But with all that said, I give Uncharted 3's graphics an A+. So now we move on to the final component of this review, and that's the multiplayer. Now, Naughty Dog said earlier this year that they wanted to compete with the big dogs with Uncharted 3's multiplayer, and that is very evident with what they've changed in Uncharted 3's multiplayer, both from the two previous betas preceding the retail release of Uncharted 3 to the current release, and from Uncharted 2 itself. Now, with the Uncharted 3 retail release, you have sprint, a whole bunch of new guns, and a buddy system. Now what the buddy system basically is, it's like you partner up with someone at the beginning of each match, and after you die you can respawn directly on your buddy, provided that an enemy is not close to him. So if you have an enemy like right next to him, you're not going to be able to spawn. Same with if he's too high off the ground, or if he has a grenade that's laying by him that is about to go off. Now I don't want to get too into the multiplayer because I'm going to be doing a separate multiplayer review just for the multiplayer itself. That'll be separate from this review. But just to make it short, I give the multiplayer for Uncharted 3 right now pretty much an A, just a flat out A. Not an A+, not an A-. It's pretty good, but there's some gripes that I do have about it, and I will talk about those once my multiplayer review rolls around. So we've finally arrived at that inevitable question. With this packed fall season, should you purchase Uncharted 3 or wait until you've had a chance to play all the other great games that are soon to come? My answer, and keep in mind this is my opinion, is yes. 1,000 times yes. Uncharted 3 may not manage to quite trump Uncharted 2 in its storyline, but it slaughters Uncharted 3 in every other way possible, from the new gameplay mechanics to the amazing multiplayer that is sure to provide you with months of entertainment. But not only does it manage to demolish Uncharted 3 for me, it's the best title coming out this year, because once you're done with single player that I managed to complete in about 7 hours on the hard difficulty, you have a rich multiplayer experience to fall back on. And with all of that, I proudly present to you with my score of Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, which gets